All right. All right. All right.
Check, check. Quick sound check. Can everybody hear us loud and clear? What's going on, Coach Paul?
I hear you loud and clear, Coach Jay, on CPI Friday.
EI Friday. What a day it was. What a week it has been in markets. Welcome to At the Buzz, everyone, our market recap. If this is your first time here, the goal of this segment is to review what happened in the markets for the day, and it's Friday, so for the week. If this is our first time meeting, I am Coach Jay, been a Topstep performance coach since June of 2023, and that is Coach Paul. Coach Paul, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Coach Paul. I've been with Topstep since April of 2023. I've been involved in the futures trading industry for 4 decades. I'm here to share some of my experience, some knowledge, and hopefully help you become a better trader.
Some stuff. Thank you for that, Coach Paul. Let us know how your day was, how your week was. Were you up on the week, down on the week, anything that you learned for the week? A little bit of news for me. We've been talking about this XFA that I've been trading in. I got called up to a live account yesterday after the close. So I don't know how much I'll be trading Topstep accounts until this gets moved over to live. But yeah, we will be focusing on trading a live account and sharing that process as we continue to go forward here.
We'll give you a
Thank you for
gold
that,
plan.
Coach.
Congratulations.
Thank you for that, Coach. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Great job, Coach.
I appreciate it. But let us know how your week was. Again, were you up on the week, down on the week? Did you follow your plan? Did you follow somebody else's plan? How did that work out for you? All right, and we will take a look at the markets here. We had some news, of course, big number coming out this week. CPI came in lower than expected, cooler than expected, 2.4%. Forecast was 2.5%. Month over month, CPI came in at 0.2%. Forecast was 0.3. Core CPI came in line with expectations. And that was really the news for the day, Coach Paul. Any other news you want to mention?
Not directly. The CPI was the big one. It came within expectations. But other than that, no. A lot of Fed talk, but do they ever stop talking?
I don't think they do.
So
They
no,
do something.
nothing to add to that.
Awesome. The president has been speaking about Iran all day, and saying that he's looking to make a deal with Iran, and if not, I think one of the comments he said earlier in the day was just it's not going to be good, whatever that means. We got some comments right now. Tremendous power has arrived in Iran. Additional carriers are going out shortly to the Middle East. So keep an eye out. Crude oil markets definitely moving around on some of that news. We saw crude pushing and making highs of the day. Terrible week. Held bad trade too long for WLR trade. Review it, right? Review it when you get some time to review your trades for the week. Why'd you hold on to that trade? Were you hoping it worked, or did you actually see something that was going to work? Yeah, I think I'm gonna start with the 20%. I don't know. I'll talk to the risk team about that. Whatever it is, my plan is to continue to trade it. It's an opportunity. And I've thought about talking about this on Twitter, but I'll share my progress through that live account as it is. As we get it, right? As we get it. But yes, the new rules and changes do apply to me as well, I would assume. But I could do one of two things. Like I could do what most people on social media have done is complain about it, and they're not even close to being in a live account, or I can adjust to the new rules. And I think I like to take what I can control into my own hands. So I think so, but we'll just keep trading. We'll just keep
That's the
trading.
basis of consistency, coach, and that's what
Yep,
got you there.
exactly,
Uh, that's when talk about trading a plan, planning a trade. That brings consistency. You've done great. Why would you change anything? Just
Ex-
trade the balance of the account.
exactly. Whatever balance they go with, that is what I have to trade with. Plus 2,500 on the week. I am 3,500 of six. I'm at 3,500 of 600 for my combine. For Zach, 5,100, 51,900 on your Top Step X combine for Damas. Nice job. Who else do we got here? Courtney, small green week. One good trade this morning turned the week from red to green. That's good to hear.
And
Good to
yeah,
hear.
it was a tough week.
It was
I mean, it wasn't just clean. There was like today was one. It pulled the rug out of shorts early, and it was
that morning was wild.
yeah. And we'll go through that. But this week we talk sometimes. Oh, I love volatility. Well, it was volatile in just about every market we cover. So there's the upside to that volatility, and there's downside. If you lost well this week in this volatility, you traded well. If you were within reason, just like a day to day, red or green doesn't matter. Do I have an edge? Does the edge work over time? Am I taking the trades without being afraid of having to be right? So this is a this is a learning process. And this week, if you could do very well and have lost and had a red week, a reasonably red week. So don't discourage. If you have an edge and you're executing it, it's going to show up over time.
100%. We'll get to some of the questions I see in the chat in just a little bit, but let's take a look at this quote board. To the downside today, we had lean hogs down 0.54%, wheat futures down 0.63%, and soybean oil, our biggest percentage mover to the downside, down 0.64%. To the upside today, we have platinum up 2.19%, micro Bitcoin up 5.52%, and micro Ethereum, our biggest percentage mover to the upside, up 7.3%. Another relief rally in micro Bitcoin above that 200 moving average. Back
So,
above that 200.
yeah, and closed above that.
Yeah.
Mark this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That is a little bit of strength in micro Bitcoin. We've been talking about that all week. It's been a nice area to sell until it isn't. Let's take a look at our big four. We had crude oil down 0.08%, S&P up 0.01%, gold up 2.14%, and the NASDAQ up 0.13% on the day. Range-bound markets. Let's take a look at the weekly in the NASDAQ. What are you seeing here, Coach Paul?
I see it starting to turn. Like it's not we. It's been since October since we had a record high, right?
Correct.
We're but th- what's happened this last couple weeks is lower highs. And so then when I see something like that, I'll put up a line chart and you can see it start to curve.
Yep.
So, and and we finished towards the low of the week. So I don't know. This is starting to gain momentum to the downside. We haven't broke the range yet, but yeah, it just feels heavy. Now look at the volume on the sell side. We had that heavy volume last week. We're inside of that. I think next week, I don't think it's going to stand much. It doesn't have much room for bulls. Like if there, in other words, we start getting selling early in the week, then this could finally take us out of this range. So
Still looking like early 2025 to me. It looks
exactly.
exactly the same. It looks exactly the same. So our patterns looks like a duck, walks like a duck, quacks like a duck. Is it a duck? I don't know. We'll see. But this looks pretty heavy here. On the daily, same thing we've been talking about. Same range bound market. Not really much has changed here. Presenting opportunity. We rejected right around 50% of that October 10th candle. We're still in this range. 20 moving average is starting to trend lower. It was the upper extreme of the range for the week. And that 20 moving average, 200 moving average on the daily, still creeping higher, starting to accept price inside of this range, but it's getting closer to price, which, do we need a little bit of a flush of this 200 moving average on the daily? Let's take a look at the 30 minute. Today was a pretty wild day. Of course, we had CPI out today, so not a whole lot in the overnight session to really talk about. We kind of just drifted lower. Was there a decent trade? There was a decent trade, but coming into a CPI print, I don't know how much I was expecting in the overnight. Anything you want to say about the overnight, Coach Paul?
It did what it was supposed to do.
Yep.
It rotated. It was flat.
Yeah.
Um, and it should be in front of a big number like CPI. But one thing I will look is after yesterday's, and this is why this feeling of weakness, it's turning. Yesterday, we had a big break with positive news where we finished a large range and we finished at the bottom of the range. So overnight, we had a little continuation from that direction, which by the opening, we went back to balanced. But this rally today off that opening was based on what? On what? It didn't react well to yesterday's sell-off. So
No.
overnight, we had weakness. We had knee-jerk buying. I think people it was shorts that got stuck. But that's not a good chart. And
Yeah.
what's that white line?
That is the 200 moving average on the 30 minute. We crossed below it yesterday with some volume. Stayed below it today. This morning was a wild morning, though. If you were watching fast markets, that CPI print, came out favorable, right? You would think for the equities. And let's go down to a shorter time frame. And they all really did the same thing. So we can focus on the NASDAQ. But we're going to map out the CPI print. I was looking to short this. I did get short this. Here's the CPI print. Here is the 3-minute open. Kind of a lot of overlap there. And there you go. So it looked like it was going to go
Yeah,
early.
is that called preemption?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I was guilty of the same thing.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
But but I didn't load up. You didn't. That's why you said I did one unit, the smallest unit I could put on.
Yeah. No, I got short. I would have to pull up my personal account to see exactly where I got short, but I think I was short from like 7. I waited for the 3-minute, and then on this rejection up here at 800s, that's where I was getting short. I didn't I didn't expect it to turn around as quickly as it did. I'll say that much. That was a really quick move to the downside. It looked like it had the potential to go test that 200-day moving average, which was all the way down at 440s. But this is where, again, you got to trade the market that's in front of you and be ready to quickly adjust. This deleted the wrong one, but that VWAP didn't leave the 3-minute opening range for a very long time. Actually, yeah, it took almost all day to leave it. There were some traders in the chat saying, Jack was buying in the S&P down here because he had a level, and there's some traders in the chat saying, don't listen to these coaches telling you to buy this. I don't know if that was you, but be careful in speaking of definitives in this market, because I almost think that person was like the cause of the market to turn around. literally at the time that comment came, literally at the time the comment came into the chat. It's like, don't listen to these guys. 50-point move to the upside in the S&P. So be careful. The market will change on a dime. And again, this was in a 200-point sell-off and immediate 300-point rally almost in the NASDAQ in the first 15 minutes of the market. That was a wild open.
Well, that comment also comes. Remember, we said this isn't trading advice, investment advice. You need to trade your own plan. Like you can try and follow someone, all right, but you still have to make the decisions. It's still an independent decision.
Yeah.
You're trading your capital. I just don't. There are principles we follow. That's what you learn. But you put the rules put the rules on, and you have to follow the rules. It's you and I see things very similar. We trade differently.
Correct.
So if you're learning here, understand this. You have to trade yourself. You have to trade your capital. You have to trade your personality. So when you see shots like that, I don't get it. I just smile. What does it mean? Right? I don't.
Yeah.
And so make your own trades. Bottom line.
100%. 100%. Really nice turnaround. The market did present like it has been kind of doing all week. Besides yesterday, presented two-sided trade. Again, you had to be quick with it. Reasonable expectations. We are in this higher time frame range. Took a look up near 25,000, couldn't trade through it, and fell right back into the range. So, we got it's kind of a half day Friday. A half day Monday. It is President's Day, so we're not going to be here on Topstep TV. Markets will trade, I believe, for just the morning session. And I have to go ahead and check that. But next week's going to be an interesting week. I think all these weeks have been. Even though the NASDAQ has not gone anywhere on a higher time frame in 4 months, it has definitely been an interesting trade. All the equities, really, all of the equities. Anything else you want to say on the equities, Coach Paul? High level on any of them?
Yeah, just on a higher level. I think it's a very bearish day.
Yeah.
This is a classic example of a dead cat bounce.
Yep.
And it's just feeling this market turning. It feels heavy. The action has been heavy. So early next week, once again, and all the indices are very similar. Last couple weeks, we had Rusty rallying and the NASDAQ going sideways. Now we have them all falling. Does that
Yeah.
change the trend? But it is different. So, but once again, we only trade in the present. So plan your trade.
Absolutely. I just want to pull something up real quick here. Oscar was talking about a potential J trade here.
On the 3-minute, oh, there it was.
Yeah, what Oscar was saying, it was he learned not to take the J trade when the candle is 100 points. I tried the New York anchored VWAP rejection. I exit immediately when I closed above. Were you long or you short? Were you long or short? Because if so, in this case, this is the 100-point candle you're talking about. If you took this candle close up here, that's a tough one, right? This is where we say, Coach Paul, can I take the risk of? Oh, you were short.
Oh, did you make that decision on the opening candle?
Oh, I think okay. You were
Yeah.
taking this. I think what Oscar was saying is here, opening candle here, rejection of New York session VWAP. That's what you were trying to take. That's what you were taking there. Got you. Okay, so in this case, if you were looking for continuation, and sometimes you are gonna preempt trades, like it is what it is. Why didn't this continue? Right? And that volume, and I don't blame you for taking the trade, right? Know where your risk is. The volume looked like it wanted to leave the range. This candle, an immediate reversal would give me a little bit of hesitation. And maybe we could say that in hindsight, but this is a 120 point candle down and then immediately reversed. That would give me hesitation to take that short right there. And like you said, because it was such a big range to see it reverse that quickly, right? That could be something you take into consideration. But I mean, you took a shot at a trade that you would probably take again, different conditions in this case, and you measured your risk. Right? I
And
tried
you
to.
got out.
Right. You didn't get married to it, right? You got out somewhere here where if you got married to that, you maybe lose your account potentially. Right. So nice out. Nice out. We don't know when they're gonna work. Right? We don't get to choose. So nice out. That's great risk management. Uh and like you said, maybe you can add another condition to when you would take that trade. For me, if it's textbook taking the short, to be honest with you, price has to close outside the range and volume has to be outside the range. And if you do it that way, then you don't even take the trade. But sometimes you get a little fancy with your executions. Uh, Anything else, Coach Paul? You got on the equities?
That's it.
All right, let's take a look at the metals here. Gold on the weekly. What are we seeing here?
Indecision.
Yeah.
What you can say is that heavy volume and that high is still holding here. Is it only 2 weeks ago? Felt like a long time ago in gold
Yeah.
for me personally. But we're 50% of that move. But look at this week's range. Tiny range.
200. Yeah. It's a weekly. Is that right?
Is that the week? Yeah. Says W.
244 points. We have some like 30-minute candles from last week that are big in that entire weekly range.
Yeah.
Think everybody's scared?
I think, well, I'm going to say it again. A lot of that wipeout 2 weeks ago wiped out a lot of peripheral speculative traders.
Yep.
They're not involved. You can see that by the volume. Is this look at this week's volume. This is almost the same volume as holiday weekend.
Yeah.
It's
586,000. We had more. We had almost as much volume on the 29th in a day. So
yeah.
yeah, that Thursday we had almost as much volume on that one day that we had all week this week in gold. Everyone ran for the exit or got ran over by the Mack
Or ran
truck.
over, or
Yeah.
there was a large liquidation by a large entity.
Yep.
We don't know. That's why we look at the technicals. We had large selling off of the large range. We have that wick. uh, That's almost the mother of all wicks, except for last April's NASDAQ wick.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That was on a monthly. Uh, That's just going to be hard. I think, to me, the most likely cause we're going to go sideways in a range for a, one of the ways they measure that is the old saying on Chartist is the bigger the spike, the longer the tail. So if you take that candle, take its height and put it on its side, measure that, and then go horizontal, it'll take that long for time and price to balance out. Yeah, it's extended. So on a time price basis, that timing will take about that long to balance that out. And we're starting to see the beginnings of that, and the volume. The players aren't there, and they're probably not coming back anytime soon. If either you took profit, you're done, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
if you got wiped out, the gold becomes a four-letter word.
Oh
Like
yeah.
I don't want to hear it. So yeah, I just see this just slowly trading. No one's going to talk about it. It's going to be choppy, and then it
I
can
mean,
continue.
go back to April 2025, right? Ems just
Mhm.
said, would that be 15 weeks worth of price action? It could be. Look at
Yeah,
so this is April 2025, and it was not as dramatic. And this is a weekly chart. We had 18 weeks before we made a new all-time high in gold. So get comfortable with these prices. And this again was a more dramatic move. It could be here for a while, or it doesn't have to be. But um, even the more recent example we had in October, where we kind of had a blow off top, and this is what is this? This is 8 weeks, 9 weeks before we made a new all time high. So I wouldn't be looking for the immediate recovery of this move, even though we've done a decent job of trading back to 50% of it. This is just 2 weeks so far. Um, take a look at the 30-minute,
yeah,
traded up to the white line. Decent trade. It's still presenting trade opportunities, right? Coach Paul, I think from April 2025 to October, we were still talking about gold being one of the best markets to trade in that range,
yes, yeah.
right?
So see, yeah. Remember on this one, we're talking. That's a weekly chart.
This is the 30 here.
Yeah, no, we were talking. I
Oh,
was
yeah,
talking
yeah,
about the weekly chart,
yeah, yeah,
where
yeah.
for a longer term. But yeah, but there's still we're day traders. There's still great opportunity. Um, look at last night. Let's go through it.
Here's the session open, Globex session open, and we had some decent move. Obviously, Shanghai Open. We've talked about this, a ton of times. That did set the low. Let's take a look at Shanghai on a 3 minute. There's urgency here. It can still trade, and a lot of people. I see people. There's going to be two type of gold traders here, and I understand there were some issues with 50K accounts and stuff like that. That should be resolved. There's going to be the gold trader that says, "Oh, they're not letting me trade 15 minis," and then there's the gold trader that's going to say, "Hey, they're still letting me trade a couple micros, and this market is presenting opportunity." Be the latter. Be the latter. Just make the adjustment. This is still trading such huge ranges that even with a couple of micros, which most people should probably be trading anyway, there's a hell of a lot of opportunity in this market, right? Don't look at the quote unquote restriction, which is probably more of a safeguard for than anything. Don't look at it as a limitation. Uh, this market is extremely volatile. Still, we talked about it yesterday. When it wasn't doing anything, it seemed safe until you get a $200 drop in 30 minutes in this market, right? So you don't want to be over leveraged when something like this happens, but it's still going to trade well in wide ranges. So take advantage of those opportunities.
I'll add one thing to that, and I'm just going to say it again. We don't over leveraging in metals. You see the heroes. You hear
Yep.
about them made big money. You don't hear about the other 90%.
Yeah.
It's like war. We can't ask dead soldiers, was it worth it?
Right.
We honor the heroes. You can. I've been around a long time and I've seen it. Big markets, some guys make big money and then they give it away over time because they were on the right side of luck. And I'm talking over time. If you got in and it was part of your of a process, awesome. Sometimes we don't, we get lucky. That But look at the range in the gold, and I'm going to do this a daily range in the gold.
Mhm.
What is it? 100?
Daily ATR, you got to count these crazy days, but right now it's at $204. Today, high to low range was $162.
Okay, that's $16,200 range.
Yeah,
At Top Step, what's the average size balance for drawdown?
3 grand.
I'm just going to leave it there.
Yeah, there's nothing else to say.
There's
Uh,
nothing else to say.
Pie Trades in the chat says, dude, I made more in gold micros than I did in minis. It's weird how volatility works in your favor once you chill the F out. It's crazy how that works, right?
Yeah,
Do
that's
your,
experience.
it
That's
is
awesome.
because what you're allowing is the market to do its job and not have to worry about losing your account, right? When you can let the market do its job, it does some amazing things. But if I'm sitting here trying to catch my breath because it's just like, hey, I'm either going to go broke or I'm going to be a winner. You can't even hold on to the trade when it actually works out. The P&L number is going to be so big that you can't fathom losing it if it goes against you at all. So you can't let the trades work. It's like everyone thinks, oh, if I size up, I'm going to make more money. It's like, okay, yeah, you're going to have bigger P&L swings than you could imagine as well going against you. And if you can't accept that, right, if you're not comfortable with a you want to put on 15 minis in gold. If you're not comfortable with a $10,000 swing against you as the trade is working, it's too big, right? Trade the smaller size and let the market do its job for where you're comfortable at. And like you said, you can make more money doing that. Sounds counterintuitive, but here we are. I don't even think we need to look really much at silver. It's is dead. That cat's not dead. That's yeah, it's dead.
Next.
Yeah. Crude oil on the weekly.
That's it. Been challenged on the weekly
Yes, it has
this
been.
week. But look at that inside bar with it. This is our candle. Sorry, our candle, whatever you want to call it. The range is really what it is inside the previous weeks,
Yep.
which was inside the previous weeks. So we're finding balance here in this rally. Trend is still up. All right. Uh, we've had some great moves, but on the weekly, this is still, if you make a copy of that uptrend line, we could have a channel.
That's what I was
And
looking for.
it's, yeah.
Is that
Whoa, whoa. You're a wizard. What did you
nah?
just
Oh,
do?
hold on. We're just gonna use the regular channels. We don't need to get fancy here.
Yeah.
Uh, there we go.
All right. Now, we hold this channel here. Early something happens. Missiles fly around in the Middle East. Now, I don't see, once again, I don't know, but looking at this is positive. If not, we could rotate right back down into the range.
Yep,
So we're at a inflection point on the weekly.
for sure.
I
Of course,
like the way you did that, coach.
of course. Crude oil headline driven market. One is wishing for war, but with the escalations that sounds like we're hearing, that could get this market moving. It's holding this uptrend on the weekly. We can see we haven't taken out a prior week's low, and headlines will get this market moving very quickly. From a technical perspective, a lot of overlap on the daily. We heard like potential escalations and things like that, but nothing really concrete. But pay attention to the news over the weekend if you're a crude oil trader. If anything does pick up, we could see this market really start moving here. Uh,
Also,
is
the ranges are expanding, offering more opportunity.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Daily ATR
It's,
is about
yeah.
$2 right now.
So
There is
it's a nice
opportunity
channel.
in crude. Today was kind of a messy-ish day, but all week it's been a decent trade. I heard somebody say that crude oil 2026 had the potential to be the market of 2026, presenting some nice clean trade opportunities when it does move. Pay attention to that. And today a really nice range day. I think we actually talked about this during the opening call. Highest volume 30-minute candle. Attach view up to that. What did it do? Flat line. Fade the extremes. I think actually the house count got short. We talked about this during the opening call, wanting to get short up here because from that high volume, that had the potential to be the range for the day. Hopefully, when we see things like this, when we see the market's reaction to 200 moving averages and things like that, hopefully you guys can add this to your trading. Honestly, if I'm going to be a range trader, I love seeing stuff like this, right? Where we get consolidation and then one big 30-minute candle and then the volume just dies. I know where my opportunities are going to come from if I'm going to range trade it. Go ahead, coach.
You know what's interesting on that half hour? Look where it is from our channel, off
Oh
the
yeah,
opening.
yeah,
So
yep,
coming into the weekend, okay, we're just going to get out. And so I could see that as liquidation on the longer term. But if we put from last night's open VWAP, it's straight through flat,
any
like
market that
flat
shows you that
higher.
is not trying to go
It,
anywhere.
it's balanced. So from London, I think we made was the same thing.
Yep,
So bottom line, this weekend could be wild if there's still escalation and this stuff is happening over the weekend. Um, it's going to be an interesting week next week.
for sure.
Peace breaks out in the Middle East. We're
Yeah,
holding hands, and um, we could see a big break.
absolutely. Absolutely. We got a question here. Any other markets you want to talk about, Coach Paul?
Oh, Bitcoin.
Bitcoin.
So,
What are we seeing here?
well, what it felt like a lot more range,
It was all last week.
and that it was. But there was some great trades. But I'm kind of stunned. It got me there. I'm like, is that all this week? So after another huge liquidation, we're trading under the 50% from last week. It doesn't look strong at all. Um, it isn't. I mean, that kind of movement is very hard to recover from.
Yep.
So, but as day traders, there's still great opportunity. Let's look at the half hour.
Hold on. Someone's
Oh,
saying
white line on the weekly.
I was just about to pull that up. Hold on a second, Billy. Is it? Maybe on a Bitcoin
Um,
chart. I don't think we're gonna get it here.
yeah,
Yeah,
a continuation
a
chart. You'd
continuation
need
chart will
that.
get it. Actually, hold on. Yeah, we would need a continuation chart for that. Probably on spot Bitcoin. Um, Interesting though. Here's the daily.
So look at that. I mean, we had buying after that, and that's not even a bounce. What do you call that? We won't call it a cat. This is a
Uh,
dead rat bounce that just splattered. That's
yeah,
no, just no response.
none at all. None at all. Got back up towards that high and rejected again. Rejected off 50% of that weekly range, prior weekly range. Bitcoin has some work to do. It has some work to do. We saw it on the 30-minute. It just got back above the 200 moving average on the 30. Price and volume traded above, but yeah, it has some work to do up here. And pod trades, if you're looking at the crude oil open, like when we say we're looking at an opening range trade, it's 9 a.m. Eastern time. So a half hour, about 40 minutes after gold. 40 minutes after gold. I think that's it, Coach Paul. I think that's it. We had a good trading week. Hopefully, everybody had a good week. Hopefully, you learned something this week and applied it to your trading. Able to pull some money out of these markets. I want to answer a question from Jefferson. Jay, are you afraid of your winnings being forfeited? No. So we'll just talk about it, right? The balance that I have in this XFA before it was moved to live was $124,000. That was from December until now, right? So did I take advantage of the volatility in the metals? Absolutely. I'm a trader who's a momentum trader that looks for volatility and takes advantage of it because to me, those are clearly trending markets, right? So I'll take advantage of that. I was able to take payouts from this account and the balance that's being moved over, considered to be moved over, is 104,000 after payouts, and it's a 100K account, so only 100K could be moved over. The risk team is going to decide what percentage of that they want to allot to me. I don't care what they decide. I'm not even going to ask. I'm not even going to say, "Hey, I'm a coach. Give me full 100%." They have a job to do, and I have a job to do. So to me, to be, and I again, the rules have changed. I would have loved that if I was trading this well. I would have loved the rules where we could just cycle XFAs back into live accounts, right? But the circumstances have changed. So if I'm going into it afraid of forfeiting profits, guess what's going to happen? I'm going to forfeit those profits. So I can't think that way. If my goal is to get to the full allotment, if they decide to give me only a percentage of it, then that's my goal. That's where I have to operate from. Saying, "Oh man, the rules changed," and if you play scared, right, Ems? If you have a player, Coach Paul, that you're coaching and they play scared in the game, what are they going to do?
Sit down.
You have to sit down because
For me, the-
you're turning over the
yeah,
ball. You're not running the plays. You're shooting when you're not supposed to. So I can't think that way, right? I have to think as a trader. The risk team has to do their job of managing the firm's money. I have to do my job of managing this as a trader, and I'm saying this as a coach, but I'm also a trader, and I want to take money out of the markets as well, right? So I can't be afraid of that. If I am, I'm going to give the money back to the markets, and then I'm going to try to find somebody to blame. If I can't figure out how to trade well using 20,000, 30,000, whatever they decide to give me, that's on me. And the sooner I accept that, they can change whatever rules they want. Tell me how to play the game. I'm going to play the game for me to win it. And that's it. And, you know, again, were the other rules more favorable to traders? They were. But do I understand why the firm has to manage risk? Absolutely. If I want to continue to trade here, I got to play by their rules. And I think that's the mindset that most people should take doing this. But you have a choice.
wow. Well said, Coach. Well said. And working with you for 3 years, you're process driven, and um, it's bright, and it's a great attitude, and
Yeah.
we're lucky to have you.
Love being here. I love being here. Uh, Charles in charge. I mean, I try to share what my mindset is. I try to share what my mindset is, but yeah, everyone gets to make decisions at the end of the day. And I've just seen it in my experience in trading and not when I complain about shit. I never actually ever get what I want. So yeah, makes no sense to complain to me. Coach Paul, anything you got to say before we head out of here?
Have a great weekend. Get some rest. Um, Review your trades for a small, but for an hour. See if you're actually following a plan. Um, do it in a rested mode where there is no pressure. And then enjoy the weekend, and we will see you Monday.
We will see you Monday. There were a couple of questions that we didn't get to. If I told you in the chat that I would answer your question and we didn't get to it, bring it back on Tuesday. I will gladly answer as many questions as we have. We do have to get going a little bit early today, but We appreciate you all being here. If you haven't done so already, hit that thumbs up button. Coach Hoop is still doing his class in Discord, 6 p.m. Eastern time. After that, enjoy your weekend, long weekend for everybody. Get some time off the charts, review what you did today or this week, what worked, what didn't work. We will see you all on Tuesday. Bye.
Bye.